Yeah, I was saying USB microphone. I'm like, okay.
Well, I forgot to share the link in the chat. I gotta do that.
I have like a film grain on my like camera, and I don't know how to turn that off. And I don't want to join and come back. I'm just gonna leave it. Who actually read the news today?
I read some news.
There was news today?
I read the headlines
You read the headlines?
That's close.
Just open.
There's
because I had to
there's-
copy and paste them all, so I read them all.
There's one, the first one, and everything else is my favorite out of all the news today.
The first one in chat. Oh, and everything else.
Yeah.
That's
In
not
the
that
everything
fast.
else section.
In the everything else section.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I remember seeing that one come out.
The Rackspace one is my favorite because
Mike, you sound funky there. Maybe check your settings and restream again.
Yeah, check your
It's-
settings and
I normally am fine. Everything should be the same from last.
and
Oh
my
wow.
It changed mine recently, so
Oh, I see. Hold on.
Restream
Yeah,
Restream always changes the
changed mine.
settings. You got to
Hold on.
check it every time you jump on here.
Hold on. No, that's got the right mic.
it'd be nice to have a profile save that you could just import, so you've got your own settings every time.
There we go.
Or if it just didn't.
Apparently today is the day for technical difficulties.
Second one too. Any better?
no.
It sounds like gurgly for some reason. Maybe exit and rejoin.
Let me try turning off the noise. Any better with those two off?
No.
Checky, does Discord have control of your mic? Possibly.
Kling.
Maybe. I closed Discord. I was having problems with like NVIDIA. It was doing something where
Any
my
better now?
entire stream would lag. No.
No. We can hear you. The quality is fine on the microphone, but it's getting like digital garbly gook in there and chopping it up for somehow.
All right, let me change over to my headset then.
This is not
Is
the
it
news.
Friday yet?
This is pre-show news, technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The news
What's
will
up,
be starting
Holmes?
shortly.
Wax on,
We have a
wax
lot of
John
on.
is
people.
probably not going to be on today because I believe he's on a plane somewhere.
Yeah, he's on a
If I'm
plane
not
out of the
mistaken.
country.
I don't know.
Any better at this point?
No, it doesn't.
Mike's
No.
good.
I think you're going to need the triple restart there, Mike.
Oh, jeez.
Press the power button. Turn it
You're
on.
gonna
turn
need
it
the
back on
deluxe
again.
package.
Pretend it's Windows ME.
Oh man.
I'll be right back.
All right.
I reboot.
John has a lot of cool stuff, but he doesn't have a private jet.
Not yet. Wait till Jason needs one
Thank
for
you.
some type of community outreach. Oh, there you go. It's good.
Hey,
Woo!
now we can. Yeah,
I
that
bet
sounds
you I
pretty
could get
good.
the. I bet you the other mic works just as well this time also, but I'm not going to futz with it if it sounds.
Yeah, we'll just go with it. We'll just go with it.
Refresh the
Nice.
page next
Just
time,
slash
not just
new line.
leave. Refresh the page.
Carriage return.
Quit the browser and restart the browser, then come back in.
I do full reboot. Full reboot.
That's the final. It's the only way to be sure is the full reboot 3 times.
3 times. Wow.
Tim,
okay.
what have you got making all the sparklies in the background?
It's one of those Christmas laser light projector things. If
Oh,
I turn it
cool.
off the backlight, you can see like Santas and snowflakes and stuff like that.
I didn't know we were doing that. Here, well,
I bought it
There we
for my son during bath time, and I thought, this is cool. I'm gonna steal it, and put it in my office.
It's all over your face, Ian.
I know.
Oh man, I don't have disco lights. I need to up
Okay.
my game.
I actually have
We're
a
gonna-
button on my desk with a warning toggle that says "Emergency Dance Party."
Ryan, thank God you're back. I'm so worried about you.
Were you?
Yeah, I mean, when I don't hear from my Florida people, I just don't know. I mean, maybe it's a hurricane, maybe it's a flying cat. You never know.
Oh my!
Flying cat.
Okay.
That was good. I said, oh shit. Uh-oh.
Florida
No-
man.
No signal,
Who
Ralph.
doesn't love a no signal?
Hey, what's wrong with no signal?
Ian, I like your shirt.
Oh, thank you, man. Mm.
Classic.
Classic.
Shirt?
Yeah.
The worm logo is the best logo, and I will die on that hill.
Ooh.
I
The
think
worm
it
and
is.
the meatball.
I'm not going to
I
contest that
actually-
one.
I'm very fond of the meatball.
You're fond of the meatball? I mean, I mean, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not the one.
I mean, are we talking Subway? Because I mean, that is one of the better subs.
No.
No, we're
Is
talking
it even
about
Oh
Classic.
God!
Classic.
Come on, dude.
Is it
Ah.
even meat? Can you verify that it's meat?
Well, I mean,
Oh,
the
boy.
worm is great for like shirts or things, but
But that classic meatball. Ooh.
I'm working
I
on
mean, the
it. Doug.
meatball. Any other sandwich, I could just make it at home. Why am I even going out?
Making
Are you
meatball
really gonna
subs at
make
home?
an Italian? Was it Italian BMT? Is that the one with like 7 different types of meat? Like,
And an 8th layer hard
yeah,
I
yeah,
think Firehouse
exactly.
is better meatball than Subway.
MC asked, "Is ransomware in the news today?" Yes, it's in the news every day,
Every day, every minute,
every week,
second.
every day.
Yeah.
It's
Read the
it's a
first-
recurring segment.
the first news
24/7.
article and everything else. The first news article and everything else. That's my
Yes.
favorite.
Yep.
Enhance.
And for anyone wondering, John Strand is not coming. He is currently digging a mine in his backyard.
Yes, I
Nice.
think he's
Another
putting
one.
servers in it. He saw that home lab video I did, and he's gonna build a server farm.
He went to the home lab
Underground server farm?
talk. He was thinking about isolated data. He's going to self-host everything from now on. Everything.
I
Yeah,
heard
you
that's
get
the
sort of
only way to
Iron
protect from
Mountain.
ransomware.
Yeah, he had to move. Just say he had to move a lot of servers out of Rackspace.
Yeah, yes,
Oh,
all of the servers out of Rackspace.
Yeah,
Too soon or too early? I don't know.
I
No.
mean,
You have to
it's
bury, you have to bury
it's-
the exchange servers so they don't get infected, right? Like that's the best
That's-
way.
yes. Air gap is no
it's-
longer safe. You have to go with Earth gap.
Earth.
So Exchange 5.5?
yes, yes.
There we go.
Oh, wait a minute. Is it like racing car tires now? You can't do air gap. You have to do nitrous gap. it
No,
just-
it's actually Earth gap. You have to fill the Ethernet ports up with dirt
Dirt.
Lead.
Rocks.
Yeah,
Rock
or
and stone.
epoxy.
That's a new
Your
one.
choice.
maybe foam. I think it's cheaper.
Who's going to be our host today?
Rock,
got three
paper,
contenders.
scissors.
Ralph, you ready?
Yeah, ready.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh!
There was
Ah,
a
delay
Ah.
All you, dude.
All right, what
Your camera's at like 480p.
what
heads
number
up.
am I holding behind my back?
The P stands for potato.
Ooh, potato.
Oh, now it's spicy.
I thought it was
Looks good
Petit
now.
Patam.
Petite potato.
Topo Tam?
potato.
Potato.
Petite
Tam. Potato.
All right. Are we ready to roll?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. Katie
Beautiful
Villa asked, before we launch the hand, I'm learning malware analysis. What's your go-to malware repository? VX Underground. Just going to say it.
Woo!
What's the password? What's the password?
And they got a spicy
Infected.
Twitter.
Hashtag
For the
infected.
sample.
That's the best. That's the best. That's the only zip password in the world, as far as I know.
We need to get the GP.
If you're making a zip archive and the password is not infected, you are doing it wrong.
Mm.
I agree.
All right,
That
let's
sounds
do
t-shirt
this.
worthy.
Roll the finger.
Roll it.
Welcome to Black Hills Information Security, talking about the news. We just rolled the finger, and we have an all-star cast today of, I think, the most possible people. We almost have all of the Jeopardy stars, right? So I'm going to go from the very top all the way down to the bottom here. So Ryan, who's going to make us look good, right? We have Blake, who hasn't shown up
Anytime now.
So welcome. We've got BSD Bandit, who's also hasn't showed up in a while. So thank you for showing up. We have Wade, who's still waiting through logs.
Still doing it. Still trying.
Yes. Brown, welcome. Thank you. Tim, I haven't seen you in a while. And you're back. Mike, Cheerios, also known as Corey. And wow.
It's been a while.
This show is sponsored by Anti-Siphon InfoSec Training. We don't have the graphic, but you can imagine a circle that goes around and there's a bunch of stuff that you can learn.
Oh yeah, only John has that graphic.
John. Yeah, that's
I'm sure Ryan has another graphic of some kind that he can put up.
I have a lower third I can pop up here. There we go.
There's
the
a
training
thing.
schedule stuff.
I hear there's a new class going live today, possibly about something else. Security, yay.
Maybe I don't know.
Something.
I'm
We are
very
leaving
prepped for
on
that.
data capitalism.
You're really selling.
As you can see, our ads on this show are extremely well developed. Whoever wrote this copy is
minimal
having a
minimal
stroke.
viable product. We could work on that a little bit.
Somebody wrote the
We do have
code.
training.
But
this
we're
was
here
all
for the
that.
news.
But we are here for the news. Actually, speaking of that, we have a lot of news stories today. We have some pretty good ones. Some ones to talk about from last week as well. We talked
Let's just start with Rackspace because we talked about it last week, and we talked to someone asked about ransomware. So okay, let's just start with that dumpster fire.
So,
All right, Corey.
Magic. Spoiler alert: Rackspace had an issue with their Exchange server last week. They didn't know what was going on. They weren't telling their customers anything. And spoiler alert, it was ransomware that had got into their Exchange server. And it sounds like there's already a lawsuit. They didn't have backups, or they have very few backups.
What is that even for? Not having backups? Is that
No, it's for the ransomware. We said the ransomware word.
they didn't have any backups.
Actually, ransomware and not having backups should be two of their own horns, right? Like that's
Okay. So wait, is security snafu a new class of breach? Is that like a new thing? Security snafu?
Yeah.
Is that like a kerfuffle? Like we had a little security
Click on
kerfuffle
that
or
link.
whatever.
Where does that
Got
link take
ourselves
you?
in a real bramble here.
Oopsie.
We got Bramble. This is a security bramble.
Oh, okay, it just takes you to the
It's just the
actual
older
security.
story.
That's
Yeah,
lame. That needs to be a Rickroll or something.
So yeah, basically, this should be a Rickroll. But so okay, last week it was down, and they were like, "What could it be?" And I'm pretty sure the record will show. Like imagine a flashback. It was ransomware. we predicted it. It was ransomware. That we had our spidey senses tingling. Our ransomware senses. So the intrusion was isolated to only hosted Exchange, meaning their most hated customers. My theory was they ransomwared themselves because they were sick of this service, but apparently that wasn't the case.
Free migrations,
Yeah, they were moving people very quickly to to Microsoft 365, Office 365, whatever.
Yeah.
So.
One of the comments here, they say, it says Rackspace, I think this is very telling of why you should move away from hosted Exchange. Rackspace reiterated that the intrusion was isolated to its hosted Exchange business and noted that no Rackspace email was affected. So Rackspace is admitting it. You're using it. We're making money off your suffering.
Again, back to Corey's statement, most hated customers are using Exchange.
Yeah. So let this be a lesson to everyone. Even Rackspace can't host Exchange without getting ransomware, so you can't either. So don't try.
That's true.
If
And I don't
you
remember
really
what
hated someone,
article
you
it
would
was.
tell them to host their own Exchange server.
Man, that was a
remember
G.I.
which
Joe
article
moment.
I don't remember which article it was, but it was one of the current,
Whoa.
one of the new Exchange.
We're
Charles'
losing you again,
face.
Mike.
He's getting encrypted as we speak.
You're back to Roblox.
Charles, can I get a reproduction of what that sounded like to you? Because your face was amazing.
It was just like, the heck is going on?
It was like meat morp.
It's like, can I get up? Can I get up?
Can I get a pick? He's like got a DJ's booth back there.
Yeah. It's like,
He was very much like
You
the
might have to
1990s.
reboot after all, Mike.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, the old you got to make it 3 times.
Oh no,
Oh,
Mike's
you
having
said
a
it,
Mike's having
Gloria.
a security bramble.
Oh no!
I told you not to host Exchange, Mike. I told you not to do it, but there you go.
R
Post it right on your home network.
R2D2 R2D2
Right.
enters the chat. Yeah.
Sounds like he's swimming in the Dom. I got.
Oh
one
no, he went dark. Sorry, Mike. I'm sure he was
Hopefully
going to
he will be
offer
back.
some
Is it
very
safe to
insightful.
say that Exchange should have like those cigarette warning labels?
Yeah.
Have very specific graphic warning labels. I was thinking about this on my drive today. Shouldn't we have that for infosec product or
Yes,
just
we
products that
should.
are so dangerous? It
Yes.
is so bad for your health, but you keep doing it. I want you to think about this terrible picture every time you read an email. And that might-
Ian, can we like
It's
this,
a signature that you get all the time and you can't get out of it.
Ian?
We
Can
need
we
to
get
have the
this?
jackass
Can-
You're
warning.
using
What do we need? Oh, we need
Exchange.
the Surgeon General's warnings.
Yes, can we get a security surgeon general? Can we just say
I'm
okay?
telling
First of all,
you, there's something there.
First of all, John Strand is the security surgeon general. Second of all, which he's been elected or appointed or whatever, and obviously we confirmed him right away. So number two, we definitely need warning labels to apply to things like Exchange to say like, you know, this product may cause breaches. Even if you stop, it's still going to go.
This
we need
product
a-
is
we need a
in the
rubber
state of
stamp.
California to cause catastrophic loss and potential lawsuits.
Rubber stamp for Way West
In the
Out
event,
Fest.
or here
May
you go.
cause
In the
breaches.
event this product caused breaches, we do know a security firm that teaches.
Man.
Now we're back to the ad again. Oh, come on.
No, now we're rhyming. Now we're rhyming.
This is sponsored by Black Hills Information Security. Hopefully, we have incident response when you call.
There you go.
It's in the circle. It's in the circle.
It's in the circle. You just got to look at it closer.
So yeah, I think that's an amazing idea. I think Ian's already probably got one mocked up, and he's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
have it done by the end of the show, knowing how fast he goes.
I mean, if you go to
I
Mexico and you
get
buy
these test
cigars,
things down here that I've been making just to see how they go. These are not
Ooh.
out yet. These are not. We're not selling these or anything like that.
They're underground.
I was seeing what we could do with tactical patches.
There you go.
There we go.
Oh.
Tactical hacking batch +2 for all.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, so that could be something. Like that.
Yeah, we definitely need them to be stickers, and it would be like this product may cause breaches, you know, etc.
Yes.
So, but
You
yeah,
put
so
on a note.
so what's the path forward? Did they pay the ransom, Ralph? Did you get your
we
payment?
don't, they have said nothing. They're hardly letting their customers back in, and I don't know. We'll see. They said they're working really hard.
To be continued.
We've done nothing, and we're all out of ideas. What do we do?
They are getting sued over it now.
Yes. They're
Oh
getting
yeah,
sued.
everyone's
Yeah.
getting sued. I saw someone tried to sue Fortnite for causing their kids video game addiction. That's
That is also
Wasn't
true.
that crazy?
Yeah.
It's like my kid won't take a shower. It's your fault. Instead of fixing the problem, I'm going to sue you so my kid takes a shower.
Oh God, what a world we live in.
Imagine
is.
thinking that the court of law would get your kid to take a shower if you, the parent, cannot.
Dude, DEF CON would
Yeah.
be so much less stinky if that was the
Oh,
case. You know?
that's all we
Pretty
need.
much.
Yeah, we should
Yeah, they
introduce
can-
suing people for not showering. You're right.
So, is this like the second time this happened to Rackspace? Not with the exchange, but I thought they were breached before, right?
So
I think
I'm
they
sure
were.
there have been. It's like
I thought
think
I
they
think you
were.
might be thinking of OVH. I don't know. There've been a few.
Oh, yeah.
I
Well,
think Rackspace has had reported significant vulnerabilities that haven't been remediated, so they have a track record of poor hygiene. So
you know who else has a track record of poor hygiene? Uber. They got breached
wow.
again.
Did
Are
they
you
really? I
serious?
didn't see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So LastPass did as well too. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
they're-
I saw that.
Yeah. So the next article I want to touch on just really quick was that Uber suffers another data breach, and this was, I guess, through like another partner, and it was all kind of data from Uber. They gained access to this was in relation to the attacks from September, where they gained access to internal network.
And threat actor leaked employee email addresses, corporate reports, and IT asset information stolen from a third-party vendor. Uh-oh.
Talk about the
That's-
breach buffet. Lord.
third-party vendors are becoming a significant risk because everywhere you turn, these vendors, LastPass, Uber, think about how many corporations have a corporate Uber account or using, password managers out there, and they're getting popped, and you're spending tons of time trying to figure out if your customers' data was leaked, was your data leaked, what's the exposure, do you even know how you're integrated? The landscape is definitely changing in that respect. with third-party vendors.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, yeah, it's hard. I guess it's like part of security right now to monitor all third-party data. You know, what data you're giving to what party and what agreements you have, and that's probably something to keep on the radar.
Yeah, I mean, even guest
intel
accounts
right?
in Azure. So you're granting people, you know, guest access to resources that they're needed to do business. But then if you don't keep tabs of those guest accounts or know where the integrations are, you're walking into a big surprise, you know, at any
To put
time.
on your like threat intel hat, right? Like that's one of the main reasons why you track all third-party vendors and watch for them for breaches or any types of strange vulnerabilities. And when you get hits on that type of stuff, it's very common. I'm sure enough of you've seen it. When a new vulnerability comes out, you'll get an email from one of your contacts or one of your clients saying, "Have you protected against this yet?" or "What have you done to protect it?" And that's a third-party risk exposure, right? Those yep. But
Yeah.
as intel, that I'm the person who has to like, all right, these people got breached. What data did they have? And then I just hand it off from there. I don't have to worry about it. But
So if you're wondering how to do this, I would highly recommend signing up your corporate domain for Have I Been Pwned. Definitely a useful resource. But there's other ways too. You know, you can have your own $1 million threat intel report that someone delivers to your door every morning in PDF, gold encrusted PDF
It's
form,
pretty
or
nice.
however you want to do
Golden
it.
clipboard.
There's a
It
clippy
depends on
token.
yeah, it depends on what company you purchase your threat intel from, but definitely some of them are priced to be gold encrusted.
you could just get a news scraper and then put in 2 keywords like that company and breach, and then just constantly scrape the news if company and breach appears alert. That's one free way that I know about, but you have to be a little bit tricky. But I'm sure I would imagine that Corey may have some type of free tool that already does that in some OSINT type stuff.
Yeah, maybe I should make a class or a webcast or something about how to build your own breach database. Maybe.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to say one thing about this, and I know we've talked about, you know, third party a ton, but I find it fascinating how sometimes business talks about moving at the speed of business and yet couldn't see, hey, wait a minute, maybe administrative controls in a contract saying, yeah, you're going to secure all this stuff that we couldn't do, but we're going to offload the receipt. You're going to do it, right? And then being like complete Pikachu face when the data gets lost.
Pikachu face.
Well, even language that says you'll be proactive about, you know, if we have integrations and there's an issue, that you'll be proactive about working with us, right? Instead of trying to spend 2 weeks tracking down the right contact. That's valuable time lost.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Another one.
Another one. And another one. Yeah.
What else we got?
Yeah.
We got Wiper targeting. I mean, I'm looking at the ransomware section.
I feel like that's old news, right?
Well,
like we already knew that Russia was being targeted by a wiper, and now it's just like, okay, that wiper's expanded its target range. It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah, we kind of already covered that. It's probably Ukrainians just
talk
take the code,
about
change the target.
The new Apple and
encryption. Yeah, this is a good one.
So this is basically this, you know, end-to-end encryption. What does it mean? It means that it's your keys, or it's at least private keys that aren't owned by Apple. Right now, if someone asks Apple for my iCloud data, they can get it because my data in iCloud is encrypted with Apple's keys, or they have access to the keys. End-to-end would mean that the keys are on device only. They can't be accessed by Apple, which would basically mean everything in iCloud would be end-to-end encrypted, except for email, right, Ralph?
Yeah. So the way
email, contacts, calendars.
Yeah. The way it works right now is that there are other services that are end-to-end encrypted. I do believe that iMessages are end-to-end encrypted. Right now, there are already some services that are end-to-end encrypted in iCloud. Right. The big ones that they're bringing to the table here to kind of like wrap it all up is your iCloud backups are going to be end-to-end encrypted. I think pretty much everything except for calendars and email, right, will now be end-to-end encrypted with iCloud and Apple devices.
And contacts.
Yeah, they stated to be backwards compatible and interoperable with other protocols.
So this is how it would work. Okay, so for email, it makes perfect sense. Here's how it would work. If you got email through iCloud and they could enable end-to-end encryption, and you'd be able to check it on your phone, but you'd be able to look at it nowhere else. Okay?
Right. The other clients.
None of the other clients, any other mail client would not work.
Or they have to publish a gateway app like Proton Mail has.
How does Signal do it? Like, because Signal, you can
Signal
have
is
the
an
app
email.
and you. Oh, okay. I was just thinking messages.
So yeah, basically the way
Signal,
and
Proton,
if you're looking at, if you want a better example, if we're talking specifically about email, Proton Mail is one that is end-to-end encrypted email. And basically how it works is the only way to access your email with Proton Mail is to either use the web browser, which has the the key exchange protocol built into it, or Proton actually has an app that they publish that basically is like an email gateway that you run that pulls down your emails and also contains your private key and decrypts your emails as they come in. But you can't just go in Thunderbird and type your username at protonmail.com and get your email. It won't work.
For everyone who is wondering, the things that are coming to end-to-end encrypted for the new version of iOS 16.2, I believe, is your device backup. So when you back up your device, that backup will be encrypted. Messages that are backed up will be encrypted. All of your iCloud data will now be end-to-end encrypted. So everything that's part of iCloud, you can store files on iCloud. Those will now be end-to-end encrypted. Notes, all of your photos will now be end-to-end encrypted as well. Reminders, Safari backups or bookmarks, excuse me. Your voice memos, and last but certainly not least, wallet passes. So
So this is kind of one of those things where, of course, we get into our privacy bingo, where it's, first of all, think of the children, or think of the evil criminals.
Yes, there was many articles that are going to what you're saying, Corey, which is the FBI going, this isn't that great for us.
The FBI is like, dude, we paid so much for this 0 day and now it doesn't work. You guys suck.
Well, you know what's funny? It's funny that you mentioned that about the government, because I was having a conversation, not about this specifically, but I think a larger trend that's happening at Apple based on the chips bill. Apple's already been signaling about bringing manufacturing of their devices back to the U.S. The Tower Macs are assembled, at least in the U.S. They've done research that has shown, like, to build the iPhone in the U.S., it would be an additional $20. You couple this with that, and you essentially become the de facto issuer of endpoint devices for the U.S. government, because now it's manufacturers. They can handle.
But they didn't say if it's FIPS. If it's FIPS,
and they didn't give it
It's only an extra $20 for them to build it here.
It's like $25. Yeah, that's what the research.
Times how many devices though equals
$20 of their cost, and when you figure their cost, they have to multiply it by what, 4,000%. Is their standard markup?
but here's the thing. I think the reason they're debating it is because, first of all, the secret's out. Like, everyone is pissed at Apple for using slave labor and has been doing that for years. Second of all, Apple has realized we can't, even if we're making a 9,000% markup or whatever, like Bronwyn said, if we can't get iPhones, if all the boats are stuck in the Suez Canal and we can't get iPhones, it doesn't matter how much markup we can add. We can't sell the phone because we don't have it. So supply chain is a constraint that was introduced basically in COVID, but the global supply chain is a disaster and has been for a long time. So part of bringing it into the States is now you can just take a bunch of CPUs, throw them on a truck, drive them from Arizona to wherever they're assembled, and there's just not as many variables in that whole thing. So now they can sell more iPhones day 1 or day 5 or whatever, instead of being like, oh, you want an iPhone? Well, it'll be a month. So it's kind of it's that. But
I started seeing that on the 14 as well too. Like what you were saying earlier, I started seeing that, feeling the crunch. Just trying to find a 14. Over the summer, I went to a 13, but I wanted to get a 14. I couldn't find one till like 2 weeks ago, and I had to drive far just to get the phone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
14.
Apple's leaving. They're uber
Yeah.
capitalists. They're leaving money on the table. It's not about
Yeah.
doing the right thing and not using slave labor, or maybe it is.
Right.
But I would guess it's more just we can't sell these iPhones because they're stuck on a boat somewhere in the Pacific Ocean or whatever. So we're upset. Or the COVID lockdowns have been the thing in China, which they've already moved a lot of their actual manufacturing to India and Bangladesh and other areas that don't have as strict of COVID lockdowns. So. Basically, this is a win for any. The reason this is a big deal, and yes, if you're one of those people that's been using one of those like black phone X9000 encrypted phones for a while, this is like not a big deal to you. But the truth is that iPhone is like is one of the standards, and so if it's something, it puts it in everyone's hands. If end-to-end encryption is in everyone's hands, they can just check a box to turn it on. That's going to have a significant impact on user privacy. That's why it's kind of
is black phone still around?
Yeah, I don't know. It'll also
I have no idea.
Google have to do the same thing. Okay.
What about countries?
They're going to have
outright that ban encryption. That
you think Google's going to do the same thing?
Oh yeah, they're going to move to it. Yeah, because they're going to say Apple users are going to be like, oh yeah, my phone's more secure. They're going to be like, oh well, I mean, I guess
oh yeah.
So,
You think it's braggadocious now? You think it's braggadocious now? They're like, look, I have an iPhone and it's encrypted. Nothing can get to this device.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
What about countries like China, right?
I don't think iCloud is available in China. Let me check.
So hold on.
Question.
There was a big article about this, and I remember listening to a whole podcast. iCloud is absolutely available in China, but one of the stipulations.
No, it's not. All that's available in China is App Store, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts.
If it doesn't make it through the
videos.
Great Firewall.
It's not. There is no iCloud in China.
So it's a separate one. This was a big deal that Apple had to negotiate with China, and one of the things that Apple had to do is they had to give them the keys pretty much. Apple worded it a little bit different. They were like, we have access to the keys, but the keys are in the country, but we don't give them access. So anyway.
What about the Middle East or areas like that?
Yeah,
I think the same. I think the same deal.
Well, what's funny is we're touching on exactly what I was thinking is not just with our government, but Apple, where they've gone into like mainland China and whatever, and the government has said, no, you can't have encryption that we don't have. They can actually kind of take a step back and go to their cellular providers, their T-Mobiles, whatever they have over there, and yeah, you're going to set up these encryption keys for all these accounts and be the intermediary for it so we get access to it. And now they've got the individual key. So it's great in that, we can go through and bring your own key, but it also removes that challenge for Apple. They can go back and say, well, you want to introduce a key into that chain of trust that allows us to get in there too. Go nuts. Have a good time.
Yeah, and it's probably worth noting that for the people that are like save the children, this kind of covers something that we've touched on in previous newscasts, which is that Apple has introduced on-device CSAM or child whatever sexual.
So
basically, there is scanning for this on device now. So it's like yes, it is encrypted, but your iPhone will also rat you out if you have nasty shit. So there is that.
Well, let's lead into the second story, which is related exactly to that. So Apple is announced. Spoiler alert, with end-to-end encryption, they will not be scanning your photos for CSAM on iCloud. Right.
But it's got to be iPhone only scanning it then.
Yeah. Yes. So this was just
or whatever access point.
Yes.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. So they had a ban. Well, so you got to think about it. Like if it's end-to-end encrypted and you're the only one with the key, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on device though. I think they have both on device CSAM.
Yeah,
and
I think you're
apparently
right.
Previously they had
iCloud will not be getting
cloud-based.
scanned for this because it'll be encrypted before it gets there, right?
If you enable this, obviously, if you're worried, you can leave it on, or you can turn off end to end, or you can work around it. Of course, you can opt out, but
yeah.
I mean, we all did talk. We talked about this a while ago, but it was a Google example. There was a man that had some medical issues with his newborn and had to send some photos to a doctor, and they got flagged as CSAM, and his device was completely locked out. He had no access to his Google account. Like everything was just locked and there was no recourse. So, obviously that's just one example, but sometimes, algorithms aren't perfect. I guess we haven't talked about ChatGPT yet, but yeah, it's definitely, I mean,
I think it's doing a lot of heavy lifting in that statement.
Yeah, sometimes is doing it's just it's horrible, obviously, but at the same time, it's a privacy thing where currently there's a lot of privacy abuse, and you have to weigh that against other types of abuses. So
to play devil's advocate, right? There's the article that I wanted to talk about is about encryption failing and the actual police being able to see something and then arresting people with it. Which is
so this is an article in Info Security Group by Phil Muncaster of the UK, or Muncaster, or however you pronounce your name. I'm sorry. Basically, yeah. Wade, what's going on here?
So basically, there's a chat that got popped by the UK police service, one of them, right? Yeah. And so they've been monitoring it for the past 2 years. They thought it was encrypted. Yeah, right. And they were trying to track anyone in the UK that was using it. There was around like 10,000 people, and they were trying to track this one individual. And he thought his pictures were encrypted, but they weren't. So the police grabbed it. The first one they got was his face in the reflection of a TV, but they couldn't match him on that. The second one was a picture of a dog. They then enhanced the picture of the dog, grabbed the phone number off the dog tags, used that to find out whose dog it was, and then arrest her. And that was his, I believe, his significant other, leveraged her and then arrested him. And now they're both put away for over 20 years for whatever. It doesn't really say what they did, I don't believe, but it does say
drug trafficking. Drug trafficking. So they were gonna send 448 kilograms of MDMA, Molly or whatever, worth $55 million to Australia, hidden in a digger.
I was just
Australia was about to have a party, but now they
used the enhance method. They like, it's like straight from the TV show, like enhance. It's like we got it, and then
so
it's great.
So this is a pretty funny, like it's pretty funny. They thought they were safe on Encrochat, but they did a superb job piecing evidence together. Yeah, I mean, I like how it's called Encrochat, which sort of implies like encryption. It's like almost in the name, but like I guess it's just not. It's like it's encrypted with AES 256 CBC on our server.
It's got extra encryption.
So I guess the moral of the story is don't be dumb, as always.
Exactly.
Make sure you're actually using encrypted chat.
Yeah, if you're a criminal,
switch over to Apple Message.
Switch over to iMessage.
Don't have a dog collar on your dog.
Yes, and also, yeah, maybe use a burner for your dog who's named Bob.
Yes, burner dog tags.
So okay, the real question is, what happens to Bob? What happens to Bob now?
Homeless.
Yeah,
straight to the shelter.
It's always the families that are hurt most.
It's always the dog.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really
Well, he did kind of rat him out accidentally.
Well, to be fair, the law enforcement agency had bacon in their pocket.
What?
Bronwyn, say that again.
The dog is not the one who put the tag on his collar. The dog is not responsible.
True, he's not a snitch.
He also didn't take the photo either.
He's not a snitch. How do you know? He could have learned selfies.
He's an innocent bystander.
He could have bargained used the chat box.
If you live in the UK near Phil Munchester, whatever this guy's name is, please adopt Bob. He's not a snitch. He just has he needs a friend, preferably not a drug dealer.
Shout out to James Vandism for that second news article with the actual pictures. That is a great place to hide drugs.
Wow.
Like
that's where I would hide my drugs if I was a drug dealer. And someone in chat said Corey is a drug dealer? Question mark. Or Corey would make a better drug dealer. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've never tried it, but I feel like I could do it. It can't be that hard.
Well,
right.
well, you know,
Bob's pretty cute.
Face.
Scroll down a little bit to see where the drugs were.
It's always
There's his picture, his face in the
I gotta say, for someone trafficking 50 mil, I don't think he's doing a great job.
Oh, they hit it in the link belt.
Yeah, they got it in the digger.
Jeez.
Yeah, they wanted to weld that in. I mean, Allegedly.
It's a motley
Wow,
crew right
these
there.
people are so much older. I guess that the person, they're so much older than I imagined in my head for some reason.
Sheesh.
I got news for you. Those are 90s rave kids.
MDMA, not even one.
I guess honestly, now
man.
thinking about it, what teen or young person would use something called EncroChat?
Macaulay Culkin?
He's like in his 30s now.
Leave Macaulay.
Macaulay's got to be in his. He might be pushing 40.
He's got to be almost 40.
Yeah.
His brother was on Saturday Night Live the other night too.
All right, what else we got? You guys want to talk about ChatGPT?
Oh gosh, we can talk forever about.
We talked about it a little bit. We talked about it on the CoinSec podcast. For those that don't know, there's a company called OpenAI, which is a very fun. They're the ones that did DALL-E 2 which is an AI image art generation. Macaulay Culkin is 42. Status update.
He's the same age as me. Oh wow.
Basically, oh my gosh.
You're so young.
Wait, you're not a 90s rave kid, are you?
No.
If so, I have a drug tip to submit. But no, basically it's kind of it's designed as like a natural language processing sort of proof of concept. You can go in there and pretty much ask it anything, including, hey, can you write me a Python? Like I had it as an example last week on the show, or I guess it was on CoinSec podcast, but I asked it to write me a phishing ruse using instructing a user to download and execute a file, and it did. It said that the content would violate its policy, but it still did it. And yeah, it was pretty mediocre. It basically said, this is a critical security update.
That was my best email that I've used this week.
Well,
it would have worked.
Hey,
for sure.
honestly, so
Chatbot phishing.
Yeah, the other really cool thing it can do is it's aware of code. So like as an example, you can type in you can give it like C code and say, where's the vulnerability? And it can say, I've discovered that it's using the, print whatever string copy function that is vulnerable to buffer overflow or whatever. It can do that kind of stuff, which is really awesome. One thing to bear in mind, though, is that it is an AI that's based on mined or collected data from around the web. So if a bunch of people thought it was supposed to be this, it's probably what the AI learned and might not necessarily actually be intelligent, so to speak. It's just basically machine learning, meaning it's learning based on what other people have said and indicated.
There was a line to use it this morning. I wanted to try to get it to write an Intel report for me, so I didn't have to write one.
It will do it. No, like it will absolutely do it. It will, like, yeah.
I already know it would. I just didn't want to write what I had to talk about. So I was like, write me a script on this.
So genuinely, I want to say this: if you are a person who has to write content that is okay if it looks like it was written by a mediocre author, you can totally get away with this. If you don't need top quality writing, like if you're a salesperson, you're just writing like phishing emails, aka like sales emails. This is great. Like I had it like write me a story about a superhero. You can have it do anything. You can write songs. It can write like
PowerPoint slides.
Yeah. So seriously, it is like. If you're just like a basic manager type of person, you need to like start somewhere. This will totally give you the inspiration you need. So
I want to see what the effect of this is to essay writing in schools. That's
it's gonna crush it. You can easily, I will say it isn't accurate though. It is not accurate. Like if you ask it for facts,
But even if you just wrote the initial prompt in there and it'd be like, okay, I got the exact outline for my essay now. I didn't even have to think. I just need to blur everything out on the page and double space my periods and make them bigger fonts so it takes up more room. It would work perfect. Like
yes, this will absolutely crush. This will absolutely crush any like high school or college level writing that isn't like if you're not like an English major, this is going to cover your needs 100%.
Oh my God, Tommy gets perfect papers every time.
Now, if somebody is having trouble with writer's block, though, devil's advocate here. I mean, yeah, I know the opportunity for plagiarism, the opportunity for people to go and start having the AIs writing their essays is all over the place. But what if you're somebody who's making a living writing and you're dealing with writer's block? And I mean, I've seen a lot of this also in the Midjourney conversations and chats because I play around Midjourney as a way. It's chewing gum for the mind and it makes pretty pictures. professional artists are saying, yeah, I know that there are arguments this is going to put me out of business, but often the AI only gets you so far. If it can help you break through that block and be able to then have someone who is a human being who has more skills and can take it and refine it and make something better than they would have if they were just sitting beating their head against the wall on their own, you know, it's a dual-edged sword. It's like any other tool. It has
I've used it for that already.
I used it for a CFP.
You know what'd be cool?
And I
Since
know
you're
a
talking
lot
about
of
like music.
I know a lot of
Imagine there.
No, you can it can legitimately like it won't be good, but you can absolutely use it for those kinds of purposes. I mean, one thing to bear in mind though is that it doesn't have the ability. It's mining. Everything is based on machine learning, and so it doesn't have the ability to like create something completely new. It can only mix things that it already can only mix things that it has already observed, right? So like it's going to tend to stick to like the average story. Like it's not going to be like, here's a wild story where it turns out the whole time the main character was dead or whatever. It's unless there's a previous example of that it mined, it's not going to think of that on its own. But I will agree.
On that note, there I don't have a link for this, but I saw a discussion on the Twitters and socials. But some of the machine learning that these AIs were being trained on were actual artists that were selected, and now some of these artists are finding out that they were the one that was training their art was training this AI, and they're not being compensated for that fact, and it's affecting them personally.
Yes, you can see that mainly ghost signatures in the
the ghost signatures. Yeah, so this mainly applies to the AI art generation, which basically there are paid services where you can give it a prompt or whatever, and it will generate images. Those images are based on real artists' work. And like Wade mentioned, the AI now even it's copying everyone's work so far that it's actually making up fake little signatures in the bottom right of each picture, like it's a real artist signature, because that's the data set that it was mined on. It was mined on a data set where people signed the bottom right image. So that's what it says. It just has a few creepy lines. And then as the artist, you could trace it back and say, well, this is my art. It learned how to emulate me and I'm not getting any credit, but it's tough. I mean, the copyright laws don't exist to protect this. It's basically like a secondary
journey that you're paying for. I mean, those people whose art was referenced for the training, they're not going to get any of that payment.
Correct. And there's not a framework. There's not a legal framework for copyright. And there's also no easy way, like on an administrative level. How do you even keep track of what, we mined 70% of this artist's content and 30% of this artist's content, so we're going to give them a payout. It's just, it's a tricky thing. So
I literally imagine.
Go ahead, everyone.
Imagine chat. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I
don't know who to switch to yet.
I don't know who.
I literally just asked ChatGPT to write me a M. Night Shyamalan trailer for a movie about an AI that was actually human. And part it says the voiceover begins ominous and foreboding. In a world where technology rules supreme, one AI stands out from the rest. A machine so advanced, so sophisticated that it is indistinguishable from a human being. But what if that AI was actually a human all along? And then it goes into
twist.
Imagine now it's going to be chatbot rug pulls and all kinds of stuff going on.
Chatbot rug pulls.
So basically, I think some. Bronwyn had the idea, what if you fed in how much it feeds, that's how much you pay out, or I don't know. It's tough but it's a new world. It's very interesting. I think it's something to keep an eye on.
The reverse argument of yours, though, is right. It's like everyone is influenced by everything. Like you could see people doing artwork that's similar to someone else. What is
everything is remix?
Yeah. Everything is a remix. What is the AI's difference in just using those same remixes? If a person did a painting in the same,
you are
right?
true.
Okay.
You are right. Yeah, but it's a little bit different when it's explicit data mining versus like human. Like the human element of it is where the copyright laws are drawn, right? And there have been many cases where humans have to weigh in and decide, is this is this creative improvement on a previous concept, or is this copycatting? And that is a thing, like that is absolutely a a real thing that artists have to go in court and say, well, I use these 5 notes, but I use them differently. Like that is a real discussion that has been had in court, and I'm sure that people will sue these kinds of programs for stealing their writing samples and stealing their art and selling and reselling that data. There's no precedent for this. So
well, they're only charging for the compute. Right. If you actually read in part of that, the Ghost signature, that the Lensa AI states that part of what they're not charging for the art, they're charging for the compute and the organization. So it is, like you stated, this is new territory for the legal world. So there will be, there needs to be a precedent set somewhere where there's a lawsuit, where there's a complaint that's validated, and then from there, right, that will stem these different ways. But that's what Lensa is at least saying, is they're charging for the compute services right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say, like, if that's all they're charging for, they'll never make any money, right? Because R&D is probably 90% of their cost, right? So, but yeah, I mean, I guess we can just keep something to keep an eye on from the security side of the house. Not exactly super. It's not going to find 0 days. It actually, there are explicit terms that it will ban you if you try to do a bunch of security related things, which I think is funny. As a good guy in the world of security, I want to be like, write me all the best phishing emails and I'll train people not to. I want to train people to not click AI generated phishes, because I guarantee you the real bad people are doing it at the same time, right? So
someone needs to pump all the Sigma rules in it.
Yeah, sounds like another cast.
Oh, go ahead, Tim.
I started doing the feedback when I would get like prompted as like I'd give it a prompt as like, hey, this kind of seems out of our terms of service, or it's malicious or whatever, and I'd be like, here's the justification for why I did this, why I don't think it really falls in that, and I only did it like 5 or 6 times, but I started getting less and less of those malicious warnings the more malicious I got. So there's something interesting in the feedback system that they're using that I don't know if it's actually taking that feedback and piping it back into its responses or something, but I was able to get much more malicious with my prompts and not get those warnings, which was kind of interesting.
and it's worth noting, we talk about privacy and Apple and all that stuff. This is an example of the old thing, which is if the service is free, you are the product. So in this case, if you're using ChatGPT, it is mining your prompts and figuring out whether you are happy with the response, unhappy with the response. They are using your prompts to mine and create more AI things. So just keep that in mind. Maybe, and it specifically says, don't type anything sensitive into it. Don't be like, find a route to my address or like, that kind of thing.
You locate me by my IP address and send me
find John Strand's new mine.
Yeah, exactly. So just keep that in mind. If you're using these services, the data is absolutely being mined. Your prompts are actually will be used in the future as, developer use cases or whatever. So just keep that in mind if you're using this.
Well, okay, but devil's advocate, how is that any different from what Google does with search queries?
It's not.
Every time that you type a query into any database, you are becoming product, because you're telling people or whoever the organization is exactly what it is you're interested in. How do you think that they determine what's popular and what videos to feed you in YouTube?
Yeah, correct. You are right. I mean, that is a privacy concern. There is a reason why people maybe don't use Google or don't use YouTube or don't use ad services or other solutions.
I think, Bronwyn, the main difference there, and I like where you're going with that, is when we're talking about legal precedent, like, well, here's a similar thing. I think the difference is with especially when Google started, the trove of information that they had, search engines were trying to figure out how to get what people wanted to where they need to get it, and optimizing that technically is their product, but where they get that information from is the people doing it, refining it with the PageRank algorithm and whatnot. Whereas these AI programs, the training data isn't me saying, I have a thing I want you to find for me, and yes, you found it for me, thank you. It's the training data is a whole bunch of art that's been associated with other things, and then I'm saying take this and remix it. And anytime you deal with pulling prior art, whether you're going to deal with licensing issues. Now, I'm not saying I have an answer. I'm just saying I think that's where the difference is.
Well, and
I just
to your point about artists, yeah, and again, to your point, Ian, I absolutely agree. The issue in terms of intellectual property. If I'm an artist and I've created something, I absolutely want to get compensation for the intellectual property that I have generated. And for the AIs to be trained on material without compensating the artist it's inappropriate at best. At best, it's inappropriate. But what Corey was saying was taking it a step further is that every single prompt you enter into one of the images, one of the language generators, into one of the chatbots, all of that stuff is informing the AI about what your interests are. And this is one of the reasons why I'm trying to remember which AI it was, a chatbot that they set up, and in less than 24 hours, it was horribly racist and homophobic.
It was Microsoft put Cortana.
Yeah,
on Twitter.
Exactly. So it has to do with what is being fed into it. But this is something that we can go on. Siri, shut up. Siri got triggered.
Speaking of the boss, here they are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey,
Why are
Wiretap,
you
I have a
talking about
recipe
my brother,
for waffles.
Bronman, why are you speaking poorly of my brother?
Anyway, we could definitely do hours and hours and hours on this. Somebody had something else.
So
Let's talk
yeah,
about
a
killer
callback,
robots.
an important callback. Yeah, to last week we talked about how the San Francisco Police Department had approved a measure to allow deadly robots, and then they basically walked it back and said, "Never mind." Turns out we actually read what we signed last week. After so we checked. Here was the politicians' process, and this might be a little bit cynical. So put on your. This is a joke. Please don't sue me.
Oh, there's a party for these robots. Hold on.
So they checked their bank accounts and they saw they got the payouts from Boston Robotics and all or whatever, all the robot companies. They got their payouts. Then they voted yes. Then they were like, oh crap, we actually read what we voted on and we need to walk that back. So they decided no more killer robots. There is no longer an official approval to have robots use deadly force.
I'm very disappointed in the San Francisco board who voted against this. I heavily invested in the killer robots over the weekend. And, dumped all my crypto into killer robot funds, and now it's going nowhere.
No, you went from bad to worse.
Yeah, I can't believe we got far enough to like approving it and then people having to have no killer robots rallies. Like, is that
like it's amazing they got that far?
We've all seen that movie, No Killer Robots.
Yeah, we've all seen that movie, No Killer Robots.
No killer robot.
Aren't there other states that do allow robots to be carrying grenades?
I would assume Texas just allows a robot to do anything.
I will tell you this: the Ukraine definitely does.
Yeah, I was going to say the Ukraine allows it.
It was. I'll have to find the link.
Oh no, BSC, no, don't arm Robbie.
That
was actually that was actually the. That was the exact mock-up they used for the police department. They were like, imagine this, but it's holding a gun.
Very scary.
Did you see how they actually wanted? Did you read? My audio died. Did you read actually how they wanted to kill people with it? Where they just attach bombs to it and run it at people and blow them up. Like
kamikaze robots.
What a waste of a robot. Like you can't.
Oh, see, dude, that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. We need to start a robot like a robot human or I guess digital rights organization that's like, you can't blow up robots. They're humans too. They're self-aware. They can feel pain. Rights.
This sounds like Overwatch waiting to happen.
It sounds like the Matrix waiting to happen.
It is. It's the Animatrix. They covered how the revolution started, and the robots came onto the UN floor and said, "No, you can't destroy us. We're sentient. We want some level of rights." And we as humans were like, "Nah." And well, then the rest happened.
We blocked.
It's also the storyline to Chappie.
Chappie, Chappie, man. Chappie, go do the heist. That was an awesome.
Chappie, go do the heist.
They turned him into the baddest gangster ever, and he just goes. I think my favorite part of that movie was where he goes and not that violence is good, but he goes and takes this Nissan Skyline GTR, which the new one had just come out. They're teaching him how to go get a car to do the heist. He shows up with this $100,000 supercar and a gold chain on, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, Chappie went ham.
So okay,
That's a nice flipper you got there, Blake.
Do we think?
Oh, yeah?
Do we think that the San Francisco police are just watching Silicon Valley and are like, "How can we have this happen again?" Like they're like, "All right, we got to get another, we got to get another TV show here, but it's called Killer Robots and it's for real."
Yeah.
It's just I can already hear the theme song. It's bad bots. What you gonna do?
But then it's just a Roomba with a grenade duct taped to the top of it, driving slowly under a door. Like I don't.
And they're just turning like this as they're dancing.
Mapping out the room. It bumps into a chair. It's like, oh, nope, that way. Nope,
It bumps into a chair and then blows up. Yeah. It's a target. Missed.
It's official. This talking about the news has went off the rails today.
Yeah, we're at an hour. So
it was the last one at least, right? Like it could have.
Yeah. If you live in San Francisco,
when the guy in Hanson caught him, the UK police caught him with a dog.
Boomba.
Like, that was.
Okay, so someone go make a fake venture capital. Actually, I'll just have ChatGPT do it. A fake venture capital pitch for a Roomba with explosives enabled.
We need it.
We need this. If they're trying the San Francisco board, will have to vote yes.
But then call it mil spec and sell it to law enforcement for like $50K. It's fine.
Got a whole bunch of fireworks from 4th of July and be like, look, we've got minimal viable product.
But put the thing, like put the red and blue lights on it, protect and serve, protect and
That's RoboCop 2. That's RoboCop
yeah.
2.
Okay. We'd like to say before we wrap up, do not try any of this at home. Do not do this. This is a joke. Don't put grenades on your Roomba. Don't put M80s on your Roomba. Don't put any kind of no knives. We've all seen the knives on the Roombas. Don't do it.
Yeah.
But if you do, film it and tag me in it because I really want to see it.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, on that note, this was really fun, guys. Everyone really
thank you for coming, everyone.
We only got to like
we'll see you all.
Third of the stories.
Yeah.
Are we doing next week too? We're getting into the Christmas break.
Yeah, we should say that because we're coming up to that schedule. Next week we are having the news next week, but the week after we will not. So we are doing news on the 19th of December. We are not doing the news on the 26th.
Yep. So we're all going to be showing up with
schedule.
Santa hats.
Show up next week. The week after, use your Boomba to play some boombox tunes in your house.
Here we go.
Beep, beep, beep.
Boomba detonate. Okay, bye everyone.
All right. Roll that.